Macro from 1 centimeter. Is this only a marketing bullshit or useful feature? You will get to know it. So this feature is very important if you want to create so-called wide-angle macro frames or wide-angle habitat frames. What does it consist in? Wide-angle macro has been recently very popular, especially from 2015 when Laowa released its wide-angle macro lens, Laowa 15 with light f4.0, and in wide-angle macro frames you come very close to the object, you distort the foreground, means the plant, the animal, the insect, the spider, and it looks huge. It, in case of DSLR and this wide-angle Laowa, is in the real scale 1:1. In case of compact camera, won't be because of the very small sensor size. But the distortion of this main object and the habitat around create so-called wide-angle macro frames. We search for some clumps of plants, we search for some insects sitting on anything, and come very close as much as we can and create the frame behind. So placing there some games of colors, of contrasts, of the light of some other plants. And this feature, macro from 1 centimeter, is very helpful, and without it we will not distort the foreground in some, I can say, weird manner. The crucial thing is to find an angle at which we will not cast a shadow on our main object, in this case a flower. So we have to set ourselves contrary to the sun, or at least at the angle of 90 degrees. Some frames that are only partially shaded by ourselves or by the camera may look nice, but we'd better avoid the shadow on the main object, like invertebrate, plant or flower. This is how our first attempts of taking macro shots from 1 centimeter will look like. Most animals will run away or fly away, but after some time we will figure out how to do it not to scare them away. We have to remember that we will not have our background completely blurred shooting our macro shots from 1 centimeter with the use of compact camera. I have used here my Lumix FZ81 with an aperture full open. It's as far as I remember 2.0, and the trees and other plants in the background are still visible. In comparison, as if we used some DSLR with, for example, wide-angle Laowa 15 f4.0, to achieve the same visibility of the background, we would have to step down the aperture to, I think, f9 or f11. So that's the difference. The only thing we can do is to blur the background slightly in Photoshop or some other program. But this is the wide-angle macro that some people used to do, and not everyone wants to blur the background shooting, for example, with the Laowa 15. So when you flip through the internet, you will see many shots with the background clearly visible, because some people want to have this wide-angle macro with the habitat in which the plant grows or the animal lives completely visible to the viewer. But some other, like me, want to have it only in some aspects visible. So you have to choose whether the first or second option fits you. But don't be distracted by the effect that the compact camera gives, because for some people it may be much more attractive with an unblurred background than with a blurred one. What to do if we don't have this magical feature macro from 1 centimeter in our compact camera? It seems to that it's enough to buy this Raynox 250 and mount it in front of our lens. In a moment you will see how the perspective changes and the picture itself. This is a wide-angle macro shot from about 3-4 centimeters without any attachment lenses. Raynox 250 gives a slight vignette, but when we want to get rid of it we have to zoom in slightly, and all in all we'll have this classical macro frame with a background blurred. So what should we do if we don't have this magical, I can say, feature macro from 1 centimeter in our compact camera? This Raynox 250 is too much, Raynox 150 probably too much. All we have to do is to buy the close-up lenses that we can screw onto our main lens with the power of +1, maximum +2 diopters. That should be enough. Even though the magnification power is very small, it changes the whole optical structure of the camera, and we will be able to come to the distance of 1 centimeter, still preserving this perspective of wide angle macro, I can say. This is the only, in my opinion, solution. Besides, this is a very cheap solution. Another important feature, in my opinion, cameras that has this macro from 1 centimeter work better with some attachment lenses like this Raynox or some other close-up lenses that can be screwed onto the front of the camera. To the point, I think that the flexibility of catching the sharpness on the main object using zoom is much better in the cameras that has this feature than in other compact cameras that cannot zoom from 1 centimeter. So for example, when we put this Raynox on, we have the vignette and we have to change the focal length from 20 to, for example, 50 millimeters to make it disappear. But at this focal length we can move to the plant and go out at the distance of, for example, 20 centimeters and still have the sharpness. But when we zoom in to 100 centimeters we can still move back and to the object, catching the sharpness. Of course it is not unlimited, and when we, for example, zoom to 300 millimeters we won't be able to sharpen from here. But at some basic focal lengths, say from 20 to 100 millimeters, the flexibility of sharpening on the main object, in this case on this yellow anemone, it's much better, I think, in my opinion, using many compact cameras. I forgot to tell you about one thing. You activate your macro mode from 1 centimeter, clicking the button of the flower that most compact camera have on its body. So when you don't activate it, you will not have the possibility to come very close to the object, and like in this case, using my Canon SX50 for shooting bees, I did not activate the mode, and that's why I could not come very close, sharpen on the point and follow the moving bees from very close distance. I'll tell you some about the feature that not many people are aware of, is that when we finally find our object and zoom and sharpen on it from the distance of 1 centimeter, we can still use our optical zoom in order to maybe move closer or change the perspective. So when the minimal focal length here is 20 millimeters, we can zoom in probably to 35-40 millimeters without stepping back. And what is it for? In my opinion, it's a good idea first to zoom at minimal focal length 20 millimeters and then try to zoom in first without moving and then moving back to about 5 centimeters and still taking pictures. This afterwards on our computer will give us the huge spectrum of pictures with different scale, different perspective. And this is a switch from typical wide-angle macro into normal macro. And when we put some attachment close-up lenses or lenses that we can screw onto our camera body, the switch will be faster. To sum up, in my opinion, macro from 1 centimeter is a very useful feature, and it's recommended to check it before buying if your dreamed out chosen camera has this option. Thanks for watching, see you till next video, subscribe and goodbye.